Here we go, GM Farcaster. It is Monday, March 18th, and you are here with Adrienne and Nanish Prof for 21 minutes of Farcaster news to start your day. And hopefully our live stream is working. So if you are seeing this and you're in our chat, if you could give us a nice little thumbs up, we'd appreciate that. So there was a little change with Unlonely last week, and there was something I needed to update. Yay! I see lots of things. There they are on our screen, so that's good. And there was something I needed to update on my end that I didn't realize. So we got it all figured out. Thank you, Grace, for helping me test yesterday, and we are good to go. We missed you too. Although I did appreciate the fact that the chat kept going, even though they couldn't see us. So that's just a lot of love there. I appreciate it.
It was the best part of Friday. You and Henry were doing the show, and I was in the chat just talking to.
I know. I was listening back, and it was the funniest part where you're like, I threw something I asked you a question. You're like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm talking to our chat. Like, okay. Amazing. I do want to
no, they're saying it paused.
No.
Don't do this to us, guys.
Don't do this to us. No. No pausing. Everything looks good on my end, so I don't know what's happening. Oh no. Try refreshing. I don't know what's going on. We're going to keep rolling, and we'll get the recording out quickly, but we'll keep rolling here. I did want to say that we have some new. Go ahead.
I cast it on Friday after our debacle of a show. It's just doing a live show is, high stakes, high reward. And it is so good to have kind of a raw, unfiltered show where you can react to people in real time. Like nothing is better. But when it doesn't work, it just suckety sucks.
It's really sucky sucks. Yeah. So try refreshing, and hopefully it'll work, and we'll let Grace and Brian know later on. But I do want to point out we do have some new graphics. We did a little glow up ourselves, and thank you to Marge from Pinata, who really just came through with all kinds of fun stuff. I'm still tweaking a few things to make sure I'm not I can tell there's a few little things I need to tweak here. But we're so excited, and I also was playing around with Dolly and did some fun things over the weekend. So this little open screen that you see is going to be related to later on this week our art drop that, and you can see it in my background. The art drop that we're doing and our first artist spotlight, and that is coming at the end of this week with Max Jackson, and I got to interview him over the weekend, so decided to do some fun little art things with our purple cup, and had some fun with that. But we have a lot to talk about, and I have absolutely no idea how we're going to get to it all, but we're gonna try. So we've got to talk about first up. Actually, let me start with this from Grin. We will get to ticker, I promise, towards the end. But this was funny from Grin, the meme, me waking up, didn't stolen anything ticker. It just was, yep. So if you don't know what's going on, we're going to talk about that towards the end of the show. But first, on Friday, we had a home feed glow up. We made a few tweaks to bring your content front and center in feeds. This is from V. Action icons are a little bigger and grouped. Counts are grouped and shown together. Channels are marked by name instead of image. And people had feelings about this. They had a lot of feelings. So, Salvino, I will like your cast, but not until I accidentally bookmark it first. And then we had a little something from Varun that said, the funny part is I held back the most controversial change for a later update coming soon, which really concerned me. Because we had a few others with Warpcast changes. This was really funny. I thought this was like the conspiracy theory part of this. With Warpcast changes, like the unnecessary smushed buttons, I sometimes wonder if the team has a policy of introducing entropy just to keep us maintained in that beta user mentality. Never get comfortable, my friend. Brother Dan is going to change it up on you. But there were lots of memes. I'm showing all the memes right now. Just trying to like Dan's cast. It was removed from bookmarks, added to bookmarks, removed from bookmarks, added to bookmarks, removed from bookmarks, and so on. Kenny, with my current Warpcast experience, can we please have reply bumping back? I don't see 80% of the stuff the people I follow post. Best we can do is a UI that makes you accidentally bookmark stuff. There we go. This just went on, and I have to say that the memes were impeccable. The memes channel is officially customer service, because we did see from Dan and Varun actually, responding to this. All right, the memes are pretty good. We'll make some changes. Then this one was buttons be close. So, and then this from Dan as well. It could be worse. You can ship buttons that no one fat fingers enough to make memes about. So then you think they're fine. So if you want to get attention on something you don't like on Farcaster, the way to do that is with memes. Thoughts? Thoughts on all of this?
By the way, there's also such an art between like the playful jabbing with the meme and just the mean ones, right? So like, don't be mean. Being mean doesn't really get you anywhere, but the memes were phenomenal. What do you want to talk about? The meta or the updates?
Let's start with the actual update. What did you think of the update? And I'll give my first opinion. Yes, the buttons were close, but my bigger issue was like the non-filled in like reactions looked great, but were incredibly impractical. Like, so the heart that just had, when you clicked on it, it just had the outline was okay. That's lovely, but I can absolutely not tell if I actually clicked it. So there was that, but then the smush buttons with, I don't know how many times I bookmark things. So I actually did that, and I'm still doing it. So what did you think of the update itself?
Didn't like it. And didn't even need to say anything or complain about it, because
other people did it for you.
It happened. Yeah. My biggest issue, well, obviously things were too close together and fat fingers hard to hit. But now that there's so many icons, it's a little taxing on my brain to know exactly. And it's not good for new people. So like, I know what the warp icon is, and I know what the book, but especially something like a warp, you're not used to seeing that in other places. So it's a little too much cognitive load. Need things to be a little simpler.
And there was a post, and I forgot to pull it, from OX Designer, who talked about separating some of the buttons, not only for spacing, but also based on what they do. So like your reactions versus the bookmark and the, saving things. And so there's something to that, I think. So that was in the design channel. So yeah, lots of feelings about this, but it was immediate. And we saw some changes immediately too. We did see some adjustment by the team very quickly. The heart got filled in, those little things got done immediately upon that. And I think sometimes you just don't know until you put it out there, because you can think something's a great idea and then you put it out there and other people are like, no.
Yeah. No. And I'd also say it's like, if you put too big of a change out at once, when people are used to working, they're going to hate it. And we've seen this. We've seen this a dozen times in the past year. Anything new, people hate. So because change is hard. So I think it's hard for the Warpcast team to understand, like to recognize which feedback is actually valid. This is a worse user experience versus people are reacting to something new, because change, there's like that psychological discomfort with change. Like, I just don't want things to be new. But I think so maybe some of it, and I think there was, I don't know if we've talked about this, but it no longer tells you the number of likes, it just says kind of the reactions are hidden a little bit. So that
the other thing was the channel that's no longer an icon, it's the word, and it's smaller and it's just not as obvious. So if you're scrolling through, it's hard to tell which one was, which channel you cast it in and things like that. So yeah, definitely an issue. And just a shout out, I see it says it's freezing on your side. Don't know what's going on with Unlonely, so we'll do the best we can here. I did see something pop up on my end too with OBS, so something's going on today, and we're gonna work through it. We're gonna work through some bugs.
Like Friday. So just like Friday, we are not live streaming. but the chat is hanging out. So the chat is talking, and they're here because they want to know what's going on with Ticker. They want the TLDR on
Yep.
Ticker. I told them we'll drop the recording later.
We'll drop the recording quickly, I promise. I think there's just some things bugginess with the new way that we're streaming. So it's doing some weirdness in the background, but we're gonna keep pushing through. So moving on, and then the memes. So the memes to me were the best because you really saw that is the way to get attention, not by just going to the complaints department, because there is no complaints department. Don't call customer service. There was another meme by Dan on that one. But yeah, he is customer service. So your best bet is to, be funny about it, but also express, what you're feeling there. I will say this was really cool to see from Johnny, less than 24 hours in, and can confidently say this is the single best quality of life improvement for me as a channel host. Really love this update. Great work, team. And this relates to introducing channel feeds. Introducing channel feeds. Channels now have two feeds, trending and recent. Trending is the primary feed. When you visit a channel, it's a showcase of the best casts in a channel and gives hosts the ability to curate. Recent, a reverse chronological feed of all casts and channels. So what did you think about this update to the channels, by the way? Has it helped, hurt? Because I've seen a couple different takes on this. Some people with large channels thought it was great. Others with smaller channels, not as much. So what was your take on that?
Well, I've been touching grass all weekend and not spending so much time in the feed. So I don't have a strong opinion about how much it's changed my experience as a Warpcast scroller. But as a channel host, we had the biggest problem in Farcaster recently because of there was so much quantity of posts. As hosts, we didn't have the right curation tools. And we talked last week about kind of moderating, banning content versus curating. And the only tools we had were kind of telling people this doesn't belong here, this doesn't belong here. People's reaction is like, well, screw you, you guys suck. So it's like too much ego control in the hosts, which isn't what we wanted. So I'm thrilled with this kind of highlighting the good content. And if I just want to kind of dip in, maybe we can be a little bit less dictatorish when it comes to content moderation. So we'll see. I think as a host, it's going to be great for the channel like Farcaster. We'll see.
I think so too. I think one of the complaints was the trending. I think what I heard was what some hosts would prefer is them switched. So if you're in a smaller channel, you might want to see recent first, and if you're in a larger channel, you want to see trending. So we may see some adjustments there of customization per channel as we go along. So hopefully that can be helpful. I did want to highlight a couple other things here. Bracket game. This is interesting. This is from TLDR and team. It's Selection Sunday. Bracket game is doing airdrops, and they noted some things, and you can join in the frame. And what this is a way to sort of bet on your teams on March Madness. Not gambling advice, not actual gambling, using fake money, things that they gave you. DYOR, all those things, NFA. But it is really fun. And so you could pick, based on which teams you think are going to go to the end. And then it works in a really interesting way where it kind of pulls those funds in to that team. And then you, as a group of people who are following that team, get to decide what to do with those funds or something. So it's a little different kind of mechanism than your traditional bracket. So we'll see how that goes, but I thought that was a fun experiment. I don't know if you saw that at all, but I know you were busy touching grass, but
I saw it. I haven't played. TLDR as a Farcaster OG.
Absolutely.
So
yep. We love
definitely
TLDR.
Just worth supporting.
Definitely worth supporting.
And
yeah.
And he's going to be doing. Yeah, I know he had been working on this kind of pivot. I talked to him at ETH Denver about some of the changes. Sounded exciting. I think he's got something he's working on for FarCon as well. So
okay. Well, I'll be looking forward to that. We did have a few mints yesterday to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. We had this from Chris Co-Created, which was really funny, a St. Patrick's Ouija. And then we had this beauty, redheaded beauty from Cyber Shakti, and Cyber Shakti knows that I've told her that I'm loving all her redheads. They are amazing. So those were really fun. And then we had this from JP, which was interesting. It's about time we had a list of FC native brands. If I missed anyone, please DC me with the following: brand name, one-liner description, FC handle of creators, a square graphic, minimum 480 by 480. So I went through and I looked at the brands and I noticed there might have been something missing. So
What was missing?
yeah, us.
Oh, not that.
So hey there, JP. I already dropped into his DMs and I just joked about it. And I said, you know, I'm going to have to call you out, right? You know, it's going to have to be discussed on the show. So there was that. I do want to also shout out Outcasters.
What's the definition these days of Farcaster native brand?
That's a good point. Yeah, I think you know, the ones that he highlighted were, you know, those ones that we're familiar with, like Abura and Pearl, Interface, Bounty Caster, Purple, which I thought was interesting because I don't really consider that a brand, but okay. And Unlonely, you know, things like that. So I would say, you know, really started, grew because of Farcaster would be my, you know, I don't know the way I would define it. But I think there's some that maybe you have native versus immigrant. You know what I mean? Maybe something that started somewhere else but really caught fire and found a home in Farcaster. You could have that as well. So I think there's a little bit of both there, but we're definitely Farcaster native. I don't think we could be more.
Yeah, I don't know what the definition is, but we are.
But we are. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely us. For sure. Want to give a shout out to Outcasters, and this is Snapshot 036, and the curator is Rachel T. Wood, my friend there. I'm so glad to see you curating this, and it is a beauty of a curation. So give that a look. And we have gotten to the ticker point. Okay. This is going to be GM Farcaster explains rugs. I'll be clipping this later. So
I'm very excited. So our chat is not with, like, our live stream isn't here, but they've been posting questions into our chat as well. So mostly it's like, what's the TLDR?
Yeah, and it's been I can see OBS going on and offline, and I think it's the new connection, so we'll get it figured out. So let me start with what a rug is. So GM Farcaster explains rugs. Rugs are, we use that term like getting the rug pulled out from under you. So it comes from that. And you have different types of rugs. You have things that are slow rugs. And usually those are NFT projects that just like started good and didn't make it. And then maybe people get tired of it and they, you know, the founders give up. Things like that. So that's more of like a slow rug. Then you have the unintentional rug, or in other words, you know, mistakes happened in a wallet I didn't control is a famous quote, if you will. But then you have the
What about the
rug.
fart? Remember this happened in like that second one in farts?
That would be an unintentional rug.
Oh,
yes.
Right. That was actually an issue in the code and money got locked up and oops.
Yes. That's an unintentional rug. It's like, we didn't mean to do that. We screwed something up.
We don't blame you, Bill.
We don't blame you, Bill. We get it. And then he actually made it right. So we have that, the unintentional rug. And then we have the proper rug. The proper rug is, I intended to scam you and I did. Welcome to Ticker. Welcome to Ticker. So Ticker launched over the weekend. And what ended up happening was, here's what the person said. Just saw this. The airdrop deployer just did a massive mistake. Will share information available publicly. So sorry to have chosen the wrong person to task this. And then said, considering all options on how to fix this, one is using party DAO funds to buy back. The Ethan deployer is still intact. Anyone willing to go after will show known details about the person. I'm incredibly sorry. Then we had more I'm sorry, and then we had from Zach XBT. Here is the ex Twitter account of Ticker Rugger according to other team member. And then it goes on to share some details of a message supposedly back and forth between the founder and the dev, supposedly, allegedly. Bottom line here is there was some, Bill kind of gave a summary of what happened with this. Bill Z just looked at some transactions. Most funds raised were put into LP. That was the liquidity pool. Then the guy dumped tokens, which were supposed to be airdropped to the community, and cashed out 254 ETH. Eventually, the remaining 98 ETH was also swapped into Ticker. So now the party wallet only has Ticker. And then it did get some ETH back as well, I believe. Here's the bottom line. PSA, even though this is almost certainly too late, deaf ears, etc., 90% of the ETH you're sending to the Ticker Party DAO is not going to the DAO. It's going to an anonymous EOA, which can do whatever it wants with the funds, including run off with them. Good luck. So I never saw that message, unfortunately. If I had seen something that said 90% is being held by one wallet, I obviously wouldn't have touched it with 10-foot pole. But here's what happened. I usually am a little better about my DYOR. Here's why, and this is what I think happened with a lot of folks, is I didn't check that closely because of two reasons. One, it was on Party DAO, and nothing against Party DAO. This is not their fault in any way, shape, or form. But in my mind, I went, okay, my wallet's not going to get drained there. I've used it before. It's a trusted, source. So thinking, okay, if I connect there, I'm not going to have that issue. Because a lot of times,
as opposed to new website, as opposed to going to Ticker.
Exactly. If it was ticker.xyz or
.rug.
Yeah, .rug.
Yeah.
or if it was, a lot of times liquidity pools, it'll be like, send your money to this address. I'm not doing that. Like that's never happening. So a lot of times that happens with liquidity pools and early, when you're getting early access to something. But I was like, oh, Party DAO. Okay. And then when I looked in Party DAO, there was people I already knew. So I just kind of went on a trust train, which was my mistake because they probably did the same thing. And then we just had this sort of trust train of people like, oh, I trust that person, so I'll jump in. But also, and then it was like 0.1 was the max. And that actually gave me a pause for a moment. So it said, do not put more than 0.1 in. And I went, that's odd. Like, that's odd, but okay. And I was like, is that for safety or is that? And I had this moment, and I should have probably, trusted that got a little better. But I also thought, okay, well, 0.1, even if something happens, it's not a huge deal. For me personally, I was like, I'm willing to take this little risk here. And I also always assume that anytime I send ETH anywhere, that I'm never going to see it again. So if I'm not willing to never, ever see it again, don't do it. Like, do not do it, period. So that's what happened with Ticker. But I got to show one last thing of this craziness. Also, shout out to KMac, who did also ask the question about 90% creator split and something seems off. Honest mistakes, omission, whatever. He was, raising flags, and so did Bias. Bias raised a lot of flags. Again, I just didn't see them. So good job there to all of those who did try to alert. And then we had this insane message from the Rugger on X, which we'll include in the show notes because it's way too long to even attempt to read. But it was a little crazy and kind of went on about how it's all your fault that you got rugged, but taking no responsibility. So there you go. That is Ticker in a nutshell. Stay safe out there, guys. Definitely do better DYOR than I did. And by the way, never copy trade me ever without doing your own DYOR. Ever. My wallet will show you why. Do not do that.
But that is the power of this is the power of social.
Yeah.
So
good and bad. Yeah. Exactly.
Everyone's line for crypto and blockchain is shifting from don't be evil to can't be evil.
Yeah. We're not there yet.
Well, I think we are, but
yeah.
We are. So like when things are written in code and immutable code and you can see it, it's like you can't be. In this case, it sounds like the evidence was there.
Yep. And just some people didn't see it.
But it doesn't mean you're reading, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, do your own research doesn't mean everyone knows how to read
Right.
the, but yeah, thank you to the people who,
And
the
thank you to those
skeptics
who tried to,
and
send up those red flags, who did see it and were like, "Hey, hey, hey, you guys, this
yeah,
doesn't look good."
I had
Yeah.
Android 16 and Aviation Doctor also kind of
Yeah.
raising some skeptics, and so thanks for that. And yeah, I'm sorry if people lost
Yeah.
anything that they,
Sorry if you lost
couldn't.
funds. Yeah, it sucks. And also none of that like DUIOR, it's on you says, takes away responsibility from the rugger either,
No.
from the person who did this by no stretch at all. So, yeah, it's definitely on them, but also be careful out there. Be really careful out there. We're running a little over. I'm hoping that some of the stream came through, but we definitely got the recording. We're going to keep tweaking and figuring out best options for our live stream. We may just need to shift a couple other things the way that we've been doing this with OBS, and hopefully we can get this figured out. So apologies to the chat for the challenges today. Again, thought we had it all figured out. But for the rest of you, Adrienne, anything else before we wrap? That was a lot of stuff. I did not
Is there any?
anticipate ticker when I was prepping for the show yesterday at in the afternoon, and then in the evening I'm
We had
like,
so much
oh
to
crap.
talk about outside. Not forget about Ticker. We actually had lots of new Warpcast Farcaster updates
Yes,
to
we had
do,
actual
and
things. Yeah.
Ticker. Um,
Tick
so no, but
Ticker
it's
was a
Monday.
last
So are there
minute
any
Ticker was a
sponsor
last minute
call
craziness.
outs? Any sponsor call outs for you
Pinata,
too?
thank you, Pinata, for being our very first premier sponsor. So every Monday is brought to you by Pinata, and again, these amazing graphics at the top and the bottom that you see, as well as the little cup GIF if you saw at the beginning, which you'll see at the end again. Thank you, Marge, for that. And all of our amazing Wow Wow sponsors and supporters. Like it's almost sold out. I think there were 10 left last time I checked. And all of you are going to be getting the art drop in your airdrop. And as well as the other thing I wanted to mention, Adrienne, that I've seen a couple people mention is they hadn't watched, they're new to us. And because we've been airdropping the episodes to them, they're watching them in their wallets and sort of shouting out, hey, this looks great in the wallet. So shout out to Rainbow, shout out to Coinbase Wallet. I think Floor is another wallet that people have mentioned. So if you're watching this in your wallet, let us know, because that's really cool to know, because that's ideally, where we want you to be able to see this. So fantastic.
It is super cool. And to the extent that we are trying to bring on sponsors, it helps to have statistics on who's watching, because
Yeah,
we don't, in the Web3 world, guess what? You can right click save and everyone can have our content for
yeah,
free and we don't know. So it helps to
definitely
know who's
helps.
watching.
Definitely helps. And it's great to hear the on like we're on chain first always. So we love to hear that people are actually watching in the wallet. To me is very exciting. So
My last,
yeah.
yeah, my last thought when it comes, so you said, I think as of today, there were only 8 spots left in the Wow Wow
Wow.
Hypersub. We have Pinata as our first kind of brand sponsorship. And I was just feeling so, lucky as tickers going on and kind of the icky parts of crypto that I don't like. And why, when I came to Farcaster, guess what? No token. And I see
No
still
token.
people asking like when to like
No,
no
no
token.
token.
So in terms of like the computer versus casino and just being surrounded by builders who are building something of tangible value is made me like so happy over the past year of why I'm here. And it's good to be surrounded by kind of the brands that share those values.
Absolutely. And the, support of so many people within this community too has been incredible. And I thank you all so much for that. Makes it so much easier for us to move forward and really know that we're heading in the right direction. So, more so, it's not just about the funds, but funding us to be able to do this, but also the support from the humans behind it. So it's really, really amazing. And to have like you in our chat every day and, giving us ideas and feedback. And it's really helpful that we're, able to build this with you. And I'm just looking forward to everything we're bringing this week. I'm very excited. I'm really excited about the artist spotlight. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And just everything that we're, iterating on as we go. It's very exciting. So, yeah.
Right.
All right. And with that, Anything else before we wrap this up? This is long.
No,
It's
it
got
was
went a little long.
nice spending 32 minutes with you this morning.
Sorry about the 21. I think it was maybe the stream caught 21 minutes of it, I think. But we'll continue to shoot for 21. We were 21 until we got to ticker. So have an amazing day, everybody. We will see you Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. And until then, bye-bye.